like to welcome everyone to this Dynamics webinar. It's a short one, you'll be pleased to hear. It's just 30 minutes on harnessing digital adoption to deliver digital transformation projects. It should be at the end, but it was a very long title. Anyway, I'm pleased everyone could make it, and it's really how Dynamics and Apty can help. So I'm joined this afternoon by my good colleague David Dando, who will give a short demonstration. But unfortunately, you have to put up with me in the meantime. I'm going to run through a few slides, which is my normal style. I will try not to overshoot so that you can see the good stuff that Dave will present. And then we hope at the end there'll be some time for questions and answers. So without any more ado, I think most of the audience know who Dynamics are, but for those that don't, we are a pan-EMEA-wide organization that is in the digital transformation space. We have solutions, traditional solutions that are based on our historical and traditional business of digitization, document scanners, document processing, and then a new world of digital transformation solutions, of which Apty is one of them. So just to confirm that today is about Apty, and without any more ado, I will go through the presentation. So what is this digital adoption market? If you think of software as a service solutions, they've grown massively over the last 5 years, particularly during the pandemic. Organizations were looking at ways of quickly getting facilities, applications, business as usual to their employees that were predominantly working from home. And so they moved to software as a service, and there's been a massive growth in that method of deployment. Even before the pandemic, though, there were some very compelling reasons to go for web-based applications and, of course, software as a service solutions, because, well, this presentation isn't about that, but they do provide some agility to companies. Applications can be deployed very quickly, at scale, and you have the benefit of best of breed. So, but why is digital adoption a problem? Why is it a challenge for organizations? One of the problems is training, and what a digital adoption solution allows you to do is overcome the challenge of upfront training. Nobody likes upfront training. I've been in the IT market for 40 years, and I have to say that applications training hasn't changed that much in all that time. It was a pain back then, and it's a pain today, because it almost takes as long to develop the training as the application itself. That's slight exaggeration, but there is a huge effort and a huge industry around upfront training, and it imposes massive overhead on the organization, because you get into this mode where everybody needs to be trained, and the training is typically very extensive. And the bottom line is that people forget most of what they're taught in upfront training, because anyone that studied learning and development, even at a quick level, will understand that not everyone learns the same way. So digital adoption solutions like Apty allow you to serve help and guidance content as well as training content on the fly in real time within the application, and that's a very cool thing. It also allows you to change that content on the fly in a very agile way. So if you have a process change or a best practice change or a legislation change, you can incorporate that in the user guidance straight away. So the next thing, which is very big, particularly since the pandemic, is the employee experience. So suddenly employees, want to enjoy their work. I mean, that's always been the case, right? So, but particularly now, there is a huge value in a good employee experience. People like to enjoy their work. They don't want it to become a chore. And quite frankly, with the economic situation and the employment situation as it is now, the employees are the buyers in this. They can move to another job, and it's generally they move because of the facilities, not just the money. It used to be the money, but now is it an enjoyable place to work? Are there good benefits? Is the work difficult, or is it rewarding? User productivity, that has never gone away, but with this climate of more pressure on costs and employee retention, then we want to ensure that we're getting maximum productivity and efficiency from our employees. And one of the keys to that, and this has never changed, is to reduce errors. If we can reduce errors and reduce redundant steps in processes, then we're going to be getting more work out of employees. It's terrible to think of it that way, but an employee is a resource, a very expensive resource, and you want to make sure that they're productive and effective. You don't want them performing mundane tasks that are very error prone and that have to be fixed later on, because we all know the knock-on effects of that. And then finally, we want a success. It's a paradox, really, that in all the focus on large-scale system deployments, very rarely is the adoption of the system taken into account. We generally look at success on a successful rollout. We've delivered the training. We've put it out to 500 users, 1,000 users. It's a success. It was delivered on time. The customizations worked. Never is there an employee survey or analysis of how the increase in productivity or the decrease in errors. Very rarely is that measured. They tend to measure the business outcome rather than the journey getting to it. So it could be that you're killing your employees to meet that deadline. You might be giving them an employee experience that is terrible, but the system could still be deemed a success. Oh, hello, can't advance slides. There we are. So this is interesting. Software as a service solutions often become shelfware. I mean, they don't adopt that or don't become shelfware overnight. It's a slow process. It happens almost by stealth. And what happens is, over time, the discretionary parts of the application, because they're so difficult to use, employees tend to shun it. They don't use it as much as they should. They only keep their interactions with the application to a bare minimum. And so, a project that's not 100% successful in terms of application adoption by the employees tends to sort of get sidelined slightly, even if it's a critical business application. And you see clues to this. You see that employees start using Excel spreadsheets more and more. They're substituting other applications. A problem out there is that some organizations will take a free version of a similar application and do part of the process within this free application, like Trello boards, for example. I can't think of another one off the top of my head, but they substitute parts of the process instead of using that big investment. And of course, as a result, we're seeing that 73% of businesses are still using these adoption methods from the early 2000s, like classroom training and PDF user guides, and 45% of organizations report they don't see the return on investment of these, in some cases, multi-million-pound investments in software. yeah, it's a terrible challenge for organizations. So Apty improves the ROI, and the way it does that is it systematically analyzes the use of the application in a lot of detail, drills right down to the detailed customer journeys, employee journeys, and so it allows you to understand what parts of the application are being used to the fullest extent, and more importantly, it gives you a set of tools to address that. And so once you've addressed those teething issues, if you will, those areas of difficulty, the adoption rates go back up, and as a result, you get a better ROI, you get better results out of the system, cleaner data, better reports. People start using the system again. And so, this is a mantra from Apty, and, very often the problem isn't the software. It's how you use it. It's how it's deployed. And I can put my hand up. I've been at the receiving end of a number of software as a service application rollouts, and, with various degrees of success. I remember one, it was the second time around for Salesforce.com, which is a fine CRM system, by the way. And I didn't really pay attention to the training of the second deployment because I'd already used it, albeit 5 years ago. Surprise, surprise, John, on day one, I discovered that this new version is completely different. So I struggled, and I'm sure I wasn't the only one doing that. So, it is a big problem out there. So the way Apty does it is it takes this analyze, assist, and align approach based on data. The way organizations do this without a systematic engine to measure everything is, they start to look at anecdotal evidence. Everyone thinks very optimistically, it'll be all right on the day. You need hard data to be able to assess whether the system is working correctly, as you would expect. So this process data is collected by Apty, and using proven algorithms, they really highlight the areas where challenges exist and where you should apply more help and guidance. And the true context of each challenge is there laid bare on real-time dashboards, etc. So, very, very powerful analytics right down to individual user profiles. And it's not just the application. This applies to the underlying business process as well. So, it's a better way to learn. Stop thinking about upfront training. Some upfront training is essential, by the way, in most organizations, but there are situations like Mary Kay, for example, where upfront training to 3 million external users of the system is just not feasible. They are just about in every country in the world. It was just not feasible to expect their independent consultants to attend training in order to place orders in this case. And so embedding the help and guidance within the application was really the only solution for them. And it would have been horrific otherwise, to try and do upfront training as an onboarding process. The style of Mary Kay, who, by the way, sell cosmetics through agents, is that they're happy for people to take they take lots of small orders, and that would have been a massive hurdle for them if they'd had to have insisted that everyone was trained in how to use Salesforce to enter orders. So one of the things, you can take as much care as you like in terms of specifying your software as a service solution, your web application, but there will be some situations where you may miss some key validation rules, or you might introduce validation rules after rollout. And so what Apty allows you to do is to provide a degree of data verification independent of the application. So you can go ahead, impose some compliance verification there. In this case, insisting that an opportunity name is prefixed with the words new or the word new, then followed by the opportunity name. It's the sort of thing that I used to miss all the time, and yeah, it's unless you have a hard and fast verification rule, you know, individual users are going to miss that. So TD Bank reported an 80% improvement in their data quality with these custom validations. That again can be deployed very, very quickly without changing the underlying application, and more importantly, without writing a single line of code. And then gaining a clearer picture of software utilization so that we absolutely understand how the key processes are working within the underlying application. So this allows you to make better decisions about where to apply some extra help and guidance and embedded training where necessary, or some of those verification rules that I was just mentioning. Boeing paid for, the Apty solution paid for itself within 2 months because of reduced training and onboarding costs. And this is common. If you think about, hundreds or thousands of users, that is a major impact on the business. To take those individuals out, even for a period of 8 or 10 hours to do training, they still have to do their day jobs. They still have to keep the lights on, and it's a major impact. By just embedding most of the training within the application itself on demand, you can measure it, you can deploy it very quickly, and you can tailor it to meet new requirements over time. So if you want to adopt software faster, then our recommendation is that you skip or significantly reduce the amount of upfront training, keep it to familiarization training or initiation training, and then get the users on board with a guide-railed environment. So for example, at Delta Airlines, they were able to improve their projects by 3 times faster through automation and guidance. There's a screenshot of the Apty Studio. Dave, I don't think it's going to cover that today, but it's a no-code or low-code environment for setting up these workflows, validations, launchers, announcements, and all those good things. What we've also got in there is an example of the chatbot automation interface, which again saves a lot of time and effort. So that's me for the first section. Dave, over to you. Naomi, if you can do the honors by switching us across, please.
Great, thanks for that, John.
Pleasure.
Okay, let me just share my screen, guys. Okay, so what you're looking at the moment, guys, is my Salesforce homepage. So that's basically what this very short and sweet demo is going to be based on. I would say if you'd like to see any more in-depth demonstrations of the capabilities and or you'd like to see how we would create the content that you're going to see in a moment, if you could reach out to one of us here, and we'd be more than happy to arrange a one-to-one demonstration where we can show you more of the aspects you're going to see here. So as John mentioned, Apty is a SaaS product, and it's important to note that it runs on web applications only, just to clarify that up front. But basically, in regards to the web applications it runs on, it is agnostic. So basically, if the application runs in a browser, then we should be able to use Apty on it and use the type of functionality that you're going to see now. So again, as I said, I've only got a few minutes to show you around the application. It's a bit of a teaser, really. This is our Salesforce homepage, like I've mentioned now. John just told us the story about how he didn't maybe pay brilliant attention to the training, and we can all say hold our hands up to that. I think sometimes, or I think there's a statistic out there about how much people actually retain knowledge-wise after they've attended training and how long for. So we'll put this in the context of I'm a new user to Salesforce and my job here now. Maybe I want to create a new opportunity. So I'm staring at my screen thinking, right, where do I start? So what I can do then is if Apty is installed, I can use the widget here, Apty widget, to bring up the help content that's available to me. All this content is tailored for me as a user, so I don't get to see content that's not specific to what I do with Salesforce. So they may be field engineers or something that use Salesforce in a different way, so they've got Apty content that's suitable for them. For me, I just see the content that's suitable for me. So I want to create an opportunity. So, okay, help me out here, Apty. How do I create an opportunity? Well, what we get now is this on-screen contextual guidance popping up in the balloons, and this is now Apty. Everything you see here is highly configurable, so we can change the color of the balloons, the fonts, the way things are flashing on screen, you can focus on things, etc. All this I can show you more on a one-to-one demo. So click on opportunities, and you see it's guiding me through click by click what I need to do, which is great. Fairly easy so far. But where it gets more useful for a product like this is when I've got a form up here as well. Okay, so this is a great form because it shows quite a lot of the functionality all in one place. So not only is Apty here guiding me through what I need to do step by step to complete this form. So let's go through and do such thing. Okay, I'll be optimistic. I'm going to close this tomorrow. What do I do next? Provide the opportunity name using the format. Okay, so what Apty's doing now is it's telling me that I need to complete this field, but there's more to it than that. So it's telling me that I need to put the data into this field in a specific format. Okay, so in a lot of applications, it's very important that some fields precise data is inserted. So we'll pretend this is just one of them. Actually, it's an opportunity name. So I'm going to ignore the advice of using the new hyphen, and I'm going to ignore the bit that says don't forget the hyphen, and I'm just going to put in Dave. Okay, I'm rushing through this. And here's what Apty's doing. It's actually validating this field for us and saying, no, it's a validation here that you must adhere to. It must be in a specific format. So now if I adhere to the format, new hyphen, the field's validated and I can continue. So we can apply validation like this throughout different fields within the application. What it's going to do now is guide me through different factors of the application of the form. What we're also seeing here on this form is things like tooltips. Tooltips are great for providing additional information to users. So again, that scenario that John told us there of him using Salesforce after 5 years, maybe he used it and it was exactly the same, but it was maybe some of the forms were customized, shall we say. So he hadn't seen specific forms before, wasn't quite sure how to fill those out. You could ask yourself how do customers then, or how do users normally respond to that? They turn around and ask the person next to them. Okay, you hope that the person next to them also does it the correct way. Or they get stuck, they do it wrong, they log a ticket with the IT help desk, causing a backlog of tickets and stress for the poor IT guys on how to do questions. Some additional functionality here, again for the validation wise, it's saying our amount should not be less than 15,000. Now before I move on, what I will show you is that the save button here, I can't click on that. Again, that's Apty, and that's a really nice feature I think, because although we've completed the mandatory fields for Salesforce, we still can't click save on this form. And why I like that is because it's not one of these forms where it lets you get all the way to the bottom and click on save, and then it says, no, you've gone something wrong right up there, and you scroll up and you think, what did I do wrong? Oh, it's that bit. So this is actually dynamically telling you as you move along the form what you've done incorrectly. So For example, if I put in 12,000, no. Apty is still validating this for us. 15,000. That's more like it. We can pass. We can click on save now if we want. So moving on, the other types of functionality that we've got would be things like announcements. Announcements are great because they allow us to do, popping up here. Announcements are great because they allow us to provide information to a user, alerting them to a change maybe in a process or an application, new function or features. So we can pop up on screen an announcement to the users. We had a great use case the other day from a customer and a partner where they wanted to be able to tell their user base that the application wasn't available. Again, they had no way of communicating that to the users other than email and hoping the users would read the emails, and then they get inundated with emails themselves on users saying the system's down. So a great use case as well is the creating of announcements that can show on various screens. Another brilliant piece of functionality in Apty that John mentioned, so moving away from the assist side, as said, this is a whistle-stop tour. We touched briefly on the metrics. So the metrics enable us to view how users are using the application. Okay, so at a high level here, what can we see? We can see how many unique users you've got. Okay, great for if you're monitoring the adoption rates. Okay, is that the amount of users that you're expecting to see using the application? So if I had 100 sales staff and only 25 users here have logged in between the last 30 days, I already know there's a problem. Okay, so only a quarter of the staff are using the system. We can see also how many times they've used the system and how long for, across what devices, and we can even see by what country. So if this was a global deployment, I could see what countries here are adopting the software and which ones we need to concentrate on. Now, where it gets really interesting is activity engagement. So what I can see here is how people are engaging with our application. As John mentioned, the companies are spending huge amounts of money on software products. They want to make sure the users are using the software the way they envisaged, the way they intended it to be used for. So for example, here I'm seeing opportunities being created, accounts being created, leads being created. Brilliant, this is Salesforce, right? That's what we should be seeing. But if this was just maybe calls being logged as the topmost activity and all these were down here and they weren't being used very much, then great. My expensive Salesforce system is being used for nothing more than a call logging system. So great to see how the users are actually using the application. What we can also do is build what we call happy paths and then monitor the users on these happy paths. What's a happy path? Something about, okay, account creation. Okay, I want to create a happy path on how people create accounts in Salesforce. Okay, step 1, they click on this. Step 2, they click on this. Step 3 and 4, you get the picture. We build out this happy path, how they should be doing this, carrying out this procedure in the application. What we can then do is monitor, are they following that happy path? Not only that, so we can see here that 50% of the time, they're not. We can see how many users used this piece of functionality or undertook this process and how long it's taking them. So again, I can say, well, that should be taking them 2 to 3 minutes. We've got a problem there. And only 50% of the people are completing it correctly. Let's drill down and I can start seeing here where they fall off the happy path. Where are they not clicking? Where are they having issues? Okay, and that's where we can do the align and we can monitor basically how they're using the application. Where do they need help? Is it here on the phone part? Is it here entering descriptions? We can put in tooltips. We can put in an announcement to say, ding, hey guys, please remember to put the description in correctly. We can make validation on fields as well. So it's more than just the training, sort of helping onboarding them to application, but you can also build guide rails for the users to follow as well once they're using the application. So I know here I've already overshot on time, and this really was supposed to be a whistle-stop tour just to give you a taster of what Apty looks like. There is a bit more to it, and if you'd like to see that, please reach out to us so I can do a more comprehensive demonstration for you. Any questions, guys?
What I think we'll do is put questions in the chat, Dave.
Sure.
And then we can get back to people because I'm conscious that we're running over time. So, Naomi, if you can put me back to my slides, there's just one more slide to go through, and then we can invite more chat-based questions and go from there. So, thank you, Naomi. Right, so yeah, so don't take our word for it. All of these organizations you can see on the screen there are significant users of Apty technology. In some cases, they literally have millions of users. In the case of Mary Kay, most of the others are thousands of users. I know that the Delta and Boeing applications involve thousands of users. And if you think about it, just managing thousands of users, those paths that David was talking about, making sure those are optimal, you just have to take a few seconds off or improve by a few seconds or reduce by one error per person per day. That's potentially hundreds of errors saved across the organization. And errors are very expensive to fix once they get beyond the immediate data entry. So once they get into the process, or heaven forbid, once a transaction is executed at the end with an error in it, it can be very, very costly indeed. So it's got a good reputation. It's voted, wins many awards on the G2 reviews, and so yeah, we're very happy with Apty. So that's it. As David said, if you've got any questions or if you'd like a more in-depth demonstration, we're very, very happy to assist with that. If there's something in particular that might have piqued your interest today, then we can focus in on that. If you've got any questions as a result of today, please put them in the chat or send us an email. And I hope you've enjoyed it. And on behalf of David and I and the whole team at Dynamics, many thanks for your time this afternoon. I'm sorry we ran over a little bit, so enjoy the rest of the day. All the best. Thank you.